All right, 2.7a. This is like one of the easiest things I think you'll see. So let's say they gave us two functions and they want us to find the composite of that function, something like this, f of g of 5. What that means is that we are going to find g of 5 using this equation. Take our answer for that, plug it into f, right, for x, and then we'll be evaluating that. So basically, it would look like this. F of g would look like this. I would say f of g of x is the same thing as big O parentheses squared minus 4. Notice I'm going to just use a big parentheses for the x. And then I'm going to take this whole function, which I'm going to write as the blue function, and plug it in for x and f. And so this is what the equation f of g of x would look like. So what would f of g of, let's do the 5 in black, 5 be? That would be parentheses squared minus 4, 3 minus, now I plug in a 5. And then you just figure this all out. So 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. And there we have it. So that's kind of like the official way to do it. But you're totally allowed to just do this. Let's just do the blue part. Let's just find out what g of 5 is. It'd be 3 minus 5. So g of 5 is negative 2. And then you take that and you plug it into the other equation for x. So then it would look like this. F of negative 2 is this. And then again, we would get the same thing because you can see how we end up with the exact same thing here. You'll probably see me do it more like this, usually just break it up into pieces, but you can absolutely take the entire function, plug it in for x to the other function, and then solve from there. And there might be some times where you kind of have to do it that way, but otherwise you can just do it in pieces like I did over here. So let's take a look at this one. If I was to do, now they want the opposite. Oh, I gotta zoom out so I can still see my functions. They want g of f of 5. So let's find f of 5 first, right? I'm gonna highlight that. And this part's gonna be the g part. So if I just find f of 5, well, that's easy. That's just 5 squared minus 4. So that's 25 minus 4. So f of 5 is 21. Well, now I can go to the g function, and I can say, well, what's g of 21? And I'd be like 3 minus 21. And again, I'm getting that 21 because that's what I got out for the f of 5. And so we could say the g of f of 5, I didn't color code it this time, is negative 18. Easy peasy. Also, you can write f of g of x. You could also write it like this. F or c written like this. Little circle, g of x. I prefer this notation. It just seems more straightforward to me. But really, the little circle is the exact same thing. So like this and this mean the same thing. So just know you're not, it doesn't change the order or anything like that. It's f of g of x. Just another notation you might see. So what if we have a table? Well, we could use the table to answer this question. So what I would do is we could kind of color code it again. Maybe I'll make this blue and this red, or vice versa, it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to do g of 0 first. So g is a red function. So what's g of 0? So I look at my chart. Well, when x is 0, g is 3. So g of 0 equals 3. So the next thing I need to do is find f of 3. Well, when x is 3, f is 2. So my answer here should actually be 2. All right, what about this one on number 4? It's also saying f of g. Remember, this is the same thing as just saying f of g of negative 2. So I'm going to find g of negative 2 first and just use my chart. So when x is negative 2, the g is negative 5. Write that down. Now I'm going to find f of negative 5. And when x is -5, f is 3. And so my answer for this will be 3. All right, I want you guys to try this last one on your own. Work it out, then unpause the video when you're ready to check your work. Okay, so you should find f of 2 first. You're going to find that that's f of positive 2 is -3. Then you take -3, plug it into g. When you plug a -3 into g, you get a 7. So your answer here should be 7. All right, so that's with the table. Then maybe we have to do it with a graph. No big deal if we do it with the graph. Super simple. Again, just break it up into pieces. So let's do the highlighter trick again. Let's see, I did G was red last time, so let's just do the same thing here. All right, so if I'm going to find G here, G here, G here, then I'm going to find F here, F in the first part, and F in the first part here. So break it up. Let's do the G part first. What is G of 1? Well, I can just use my graph. When x is 1, G is at -1. Easy. Therefore, f of -1 is what I'm really looking for. And f of -1 is 3. Sweet. Okay, over here, I got to find f of -2 first. So as I look at my chart, here's -2, but so at f -2, I just get a 0. So it turns out that f of -2 is 0. So the next thing I need to do is just find g of 0, because that's what I'm really looking for. G of 0 is also 0. Look at that. It's got a height of 0. So the answer is 0. All right, once again, I want you to try number 8 on your own. Go ahead and give yourself a chance to just work it out. And then unpause the video when you're ready to check your work. All right, so you should be doing f of 1 first, because that's the innermost function, because this means g of f of 1. And f of 1 turns out to be 3. So when you plug a 3 in for g, what do you get out? So when x is 3, you get a -1 for g. So that's your answer, -1. See, told you. Easy stuff, guys. All right, one little thing here. So we have an identity function that you need to know about. So basic thing here is, if you ever find out that like fx just equals x, that means whatever's in here is your answer, right? Because it's an identity function. So if I said f of g of x, if I say f of x equals x, then we can just go ahead and say this is just going to equal what g of x is, okay? Because it's just literally whatever, think of it like this. Whatever's inside here is here. Whatever is inside here is here. That's all there really is to it. All right, you got some practice and stuff you could do. I'll see you guys on the next video.